Good afternoon, everybody. It's going to be our Summary Markets episode 211. As always, we're going to start off with this week's calendar, then we'll move into some analysis for ES, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, Ethereum, close it up with the dollar as well. So starting off with the calendar, there is nothing on the calendar for tomorrow. Monday is clear. Moving on to Tuesday, we have PMI data at 9:45 and 10 a.m. We have a couple of Fed talks in the afternoon. One at 12 and one at 3:30. Watch out for those. On Wednesday, we have the ADP non-farm going to be happening pre-market at 8:15. We have Powell testifying at 10 a.m., so make sure to watch out for those headlines. We also have the JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m., as well as the wholesale inventories. We also have some Fed numbers coming out in the afternoon on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Moving on to Thursday, we have unemployment claims at 8:30. We have revised non-farm, revised unit labor, and the trade balance all happening pre-market. And then after the bell, we have Powell testifying yet again at 10 a.m. We have another Fed talk at 11:30 and consumer credit at 3 p.m. Moving on to Friday, we have some pretty high impact data coming out with the average hourly earnings, the non-farm, and the unemployment rate all going to be happening on Friday, pre-market at 8:30. So biggest things to watch out for, obviously the Powell testimonies and the data coming out on Friday and Wednesday. All right, moving on to the analysis here for ES. We're going to start off with that weekly. Let's go ahead and move on to our daily, and we'll take a look at that weekly profile. All right, so looking at the profile here, we had kind of a lowercase b shape, but it's one of the bullish ones where we had that kind of D-shaped breakout with an upper tail, creating that lowercase b. So that is a late breakout. The close is on the high, open is towards the middle. Didn't really generate a lot of value on the breakout. They did try to build a small node on the close there, but that's pretty much just the closing volume. But overall, very easy to retrace back down into 5,100 if they can immediately find some value on Monday. If we do continue higher, we went ahead and made some Fibonacci sell zones. One of them is going to be around 76 to 90. The other one's going to be around 52.56, and then up to 52.75. Next Friday is also the start of the rollover. The rollover starts on next Friday. It ends the Friday after that. So it's going to end on the 15th. That is the settlement date. So the rollover will begin later this week. So watch out for that. To the downside, like we said, very easy to retrace back down to 5,100. If it holds below that, we're looking for a retrace possibly down into 72. Let's go ahead and mark out those weekly levels. We'll grab that value low. We'll grab that POC, and then finally that value area high. All right, let's go ahead and go back down to the 30-minute here. And let's find any levels that are not overlapping. So we have Friday's value area low. We have Friday's value area high. These levels are overlapping. We already have those marked out, and that is pretty much it. So as we talked about, main support around 5,100, a little bit at 5,114. Realistically, we have a pretty far away bearish target if it gets very bearish on the data this week. We have that incomplete auction from 50.60 down to 50.47. It would be really nice to see that get repaired, but obviously it would have to drop close to 100 points. So I wouldn't bet on that, but if the data comes out very bearish, we are looking for that repair all the way down into 46. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing for NASDAQ. So yet again, NASDAQ rollover going to be happening, starts next week, and then it ends the week after that. Our local fib targets have been hit. We'll go ahead and hide those. Let's go ahead and pull up our profile here. All right, so what are we looking at here for NASDAQ? We have the weekly value area high trading at 18,051. Let's go ahead and get rid of these hold levels. We have the POC just below that. And we have the value low. Where's that trading? 17,892. Same profile shape. We have that lowercase b, but it's a bullish one where the open is down here, the close is up here, generating that weak upper tail with that extension. Didn't really do a good job building value as we talked about on ES. We have that little bit of value down here around 18,120, but there's really no value on the high. So very easy to retrace back to that value area starting around 18,050. Now to the upside, we went ahead and drew out some fib sell zones. That's going to start around 1844 and 1853. The next fib sell zone would be 1879 and 1889. Let's go ahead and go down to our 30-minute here. And let's mark out some untested levels. So we have Friday's levels. We have the value low right here. That is going to be 17,977. And then probably mark out this weekly low right down here. That looks like a resting liquidity level. We'll grab that level, that's 17,826. And that should be good to the downside. And make sure we got rid of our old weekly levels. There we go. All right, so what we're looking at for NASDAQ, same thing we talked about on ES. Very easy to retrace this tail right here back down into 18.1. The main support would be the value from Thursday, and that's going to be back around, let's see here, 1807 and 1798. And then to the downside, probably some resting liquidity down here. If we get really bearish on that weekly data coming out, I would look for a sweep of that 17,800. So far, very bullish close, closing right on all-time high. We just need to see it build value very early next week, or it can come back rather quickly. All right, moving on to Bitcoin here. Let's go ahead and fix our TPO. Bitcoin still continuing its very strong uptrend here. We have a very nice kind of trend profile. You can even consider it like a P shape. They did a pretty good job building value on the way up. They had little pockets that they were using as support as they were rising. And then we built up the POC on the high. So very strong move here if it can stay above that POC. Our first sell zone has already been hit. Our next sell zone is going into 67 to 69,000. And that's the all-time high, I believe. So we are getting very close to the all-time high. So definitely keep an eye on crypto this week. We could be hitting that all-time high, honestly, this week if it goes crazy like it did last week. We gained what? We gained over 10,000 last week. So very easily could hit that all-time high. So kind of what we said about ES and NASDAQ, it could retrace this pretty easily. This little section right here has very little value. They do have little support nodes on the way up that could basically provide support and kind of bounce it. That'd be around 57,000. We've got one at 54. We've got one at 53.4. So it's not going to just completely free fall, but there isn't a ton of value if you lose this big POC node. So realistically, let's go ahead and move our levels here. Here's the weekly value. We need to hold on to this weekly value low at the minimum. So that's going to be around 57.2. Obviously, that's a pretty far way down. It's about a 5K drop, but they need to hold on to that little ledge right there they're using as support, or it could fall the rest of the way pretty easily. So be careful there. But yeah, overall looks very bullish. Just needs to hold value above 62,000. Look for that breakout into 67, 69, possibly all-time high. Looking very good. All right, Ethereum, basically the same story. Let's go ahead and adjust our profile here. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up our levels. So we have the value high right there. We got the POC right there. Let's pull our value high as well. So sell zone taken on Ethereum as well. We have that level at 35.82. Is that the all-time high? I don't think it is. Let me double check. No. All-time high is 49. That's what I thought. Let's go ahead and mark that all-time high so we know where that is. And I think that's the high right here. So keep an eye on that high coming up. But above that high, that's pretty much it. Let's go back to the daily here. Once we get above this like 3600 high, there's really nothing stopping you except for some value nodes. But overall, like liquidity levels, anything like that, there's not really anything in your way. So get above 36, hold value above that. You are most likely looking for all-time high. So same thing we talked about on Bitcoin, really needs to hold on to that value real low. In this case, around 3250. If you lose that, very weak value on that lower tail could be retraced back to the value of last week pretty easily. But yeah, overall looks very good. All right, moving on to oil here. Oil might finally be ready for that breakout. It might be ready to go for that major breakout of this accumulation. We've been stuck in this accumulation dating all the way back to November. So we had a sell zone. Let me go ahead and hide these candles real quick. We had a sell zone around 78 to 80. You're starting to break out and build some value above that area. I wouldn't say you're building too much value just yet. We still definitely want to see more. You can see we're building a little bit of value on the tail here. We really need to build more value above this 80 level. Then we should be pretty damn bullish for the next few weeks, going into a breakout possibly into 86 in the next month or so. We could be seeing a very big increase in oil if they can stay above this 80 accumulation high. So definitely keep an eye on that. We have finally built some value above that level. Like I said, not a lot. We definitely need some more, but it's a start, right? It's a really good start, so keep an eye on it. If it gets back below 78 and starts building value below that, then it just goes right back into the accumulation, possibly back down to 74, maybe even 71 to go get the other side of the accumulation. But for now, looking pretty good. All right, let's talk about the dollar and the euro. We'll close it up here. All right, so dollar still failing that uptrend, putting in a little lower low here, trying to put in that lower high as well. Staying below 104 looks pretty bearish, possibly going down into that low around 102.6. Correlation still not there, so not really interested in that move correlating to ES. But if the correlation comes back with all the data this week, then most likely we will keep a close eye on it. But right now, not a big deal. All right, talking about the euro, same thing, correlation very weak, trying to put in that higher high here. Needs to break above that 108.9 to hold that higher high. Next level would be 109.3, and then a breakout into 110. Not paying too close attention to it because, once again, correlation is very weak. If that correlation comes back, then we'll keep an eye on it even closer. If it starts losing 108, gets pretty bearish. If it correlates to ES, that is also bearish for ES. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys all being here. Hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. These videos will not be public anymore. They will be unlisted, but you will be able to find them in the Summary Markets playlist. So if you guys are on YouTube, just go to the Summary Markets playlist on Sunday, and the video should be there. They will be available on Twitter and on Discord. We are just not making them public on YouTube as they used to be. So just be sure to keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on Discord, and keep an eye on that playlist, and you'll be able to find these videos pretty easily. But all right, guys, appreciate you guys all being here. I will see you guys tomorrow for our live stream. Catch you then. Peace, guys.